This is Valley News Live at 6.
Pediatric cases involving COVID are on the rise across the country, and it's starting to put a strain on health care.
Fargo's Board of Health is hoping to head off any such problems from happening here. Valley News Team's JC Dodd has a breakdown of what they say should be done.
It is very apparent that this issue on how to handle COVID and the insurgence of the Delta variant is very polarized.
Active COVID cases in Cass County are rapidly climbing. Since July, you can see here we had 25 active cases, and today 246, with a 6.32 positivity rate. And state health experts say the highly transmissible Delta variant is likely the predominant variant in the state. Fargo's Board of Health is urging the community to be proactive now to slow the spread of the Delta variant and to prevent what is happening in other parts of the country.
We have pediatric hospitals in the South now that are at capacity and without ICU beds. So it's giving a lot of people pause as we look to return to congregate settings like schools and what this might mean for kids.
Board member Desi Fleming says the hardest part has been convincing the community to be proactive instead of reactive to the Delta variant.
It's really hard to get people to want to do mitigation strategies when they just are kind of saying, well, it's not going to happen here. It's not as bad as it was.
The board's recommendations echo the CDC, which include masking and vaccinations. But many remain skeptical of the vaccines. Dr. Newman says the severe COVID-19 cases are among the unvaccinated, even though those who are vaccinated are still catching the virus.
So the good news, our vaccines are working. These infections are mild, meaning they are preventing severe illness and hospitalizations and death, but it still is allowing Delta to be spread.
In Fargo, JC Dodd, Valley News Live.
Now today in North Dakota, there are 178 new positive COVID cases, bringing the total number of infections in the state to 959. Cass County continues to lead the state in active cases. 38 people in the state are hospitalized due to COVID.
In Minnesota, data released today by the State Department of Health shows more than 1,300 new cases recorded in the last 24 hours. 1 month ago, on July 13th, MDH reported 386 cases. That's nearly 1,000 less than today. The department says the spike is directly related to the Delta variant, which now accounts for at least 81% of Minnesota's new cases.
In an unassuming lab in Minnesota, tiny samples of RNA extracted from wastewater are helping the University of Minnesota develop a statewide COVID-19 early warning system. Through the predictive value of the wastewater testing is still under peer review and awaiting publication, the University of Minnesota team has repeatedly seen the same kind of early spike throughout each of the state's subsequent COVID waves in the last year. Now, before the state's largest surge in the fall of 2020, a map of participating wastewater testing sites across the state again indicated a quick spike in cases.
When you saw that map light up last fall,
yep,
what were you thinking?
That we were headed into trouble.
Roughly 2 weeks later, state testing sites began to mirror the steep spike in cases. Hospitalizations and deaths also climbed in the weeks that followed. Wastewater testing also alerted the research team to the smaller surge this spring, and then around the 4th of July, they began to track another sudden jump in COVID levels, which foreshadowed the current surge of the Delta variant. In addition to predicting all of Minnesota's spikes in COVID cases, the wastewater surveillance has also foreshadowed each peak and corresponding drop in cases, which could also prove valuable to public health and local governments in the near future.
A 3-year-old girl is dead in Cass County, Minnesota after a 5-year-old boy accidentally shot her this morning. Deputies say that happened at a home in Bena, Minnesota near Bemidji. Family members took the girl to a nearby hospital where she was pronounced dead. The investigation continues.
In West Fargo, leaders say that they need more fire stations, 2 to be specific, and they need more staff as well. Fire Chief Dan Fuller says call volumes are trending up. Response times are being pushed outside of acceptable limits. Fuller adds budget needs are going to double over the next 5 years, and these improvements could potentially raise the cost of fire protective services to residents to 33 cents per day.
A chillier start to the day, but our weekend is looking downright hot. Let's head over to Hutch with the first look. Hutch.
Stacy, thanks so much, and good evening, everyone. Friday the 13th, and well, some of us felt pretty lucky to have crisp and cool temperatures in the morning, but 30s, yep, that's what we said, that there'd be a couple, and we did have them along the border and out near, well, Bemidji. That's how we got our day started, but the sunshine's gone to work. Now, we've been smoke-free as well. Those blue skies have been a long time coming. As we take a look, a reminder, out in the Pacific Northwest, numerous fires here causing this pall of smoke out there. That's smoke staying out there. Our northwest flow, here's where the fires have been burning, but a lot of rain has moved through this area. Looking downwind, well, we don't see any of that milky white color. So many of those fires up there to the north of us, north of Kenora, really may have been dampened by the recent rains. Cool 50s have shifted just a little bit to the east. We have the hot air making its way into the capital of North Dakota tonight. So hot air for the weekend is on the way, but this evening, another cool one in store. We're going to talk about temperatures sneaking down into those 50s and even 40s for a few of you. Once again, hour by hour details on just how hot we get, and we'll look forward to our next chance of rain here in a couple of minutes.
That was a good use of exclamation points there.
I tried to make sure. Smoke-free is
good. It was appropriate. Yeah, thanks, Hutch.
Yeah.
We are now less than 2 weeks out from the start of the Great Minnesota Get-Together, and with the Delta variant continuing to spread, there's still a lot of uncertainty around how state officials will pull the event off safely. As of right now, there won't be any mandates in place, but face coverings are recommended for those who are not fully vaccinated and for anyone who's indoors regardless of their vaccination status. Because of the lack of restrictions, some plan to steer clear of the event.
So my nephew's only about 3, so of course he's not vaccinated himself, and he does have asthma, so we have to be extra careful just to make sure we're not risking his health. It just seems like a risky situation in my personal opinion.
The Minnesota Council on Disability says it will not attend the fair because fair officials have, quote, not stepped up to require masks, vaccines, or crowd limits. However, those who make a living on events and gatherings say they're willing to take the risk.
Yeah, things have actually gotten back to normal now, and business has been really busy.
Fair officials say that they're watching the COVID numbers closely, and depending on what happens, the policies could change. The fair is scheduled for August 26th. It'll run through September 6th.
Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar was back home with good news for music and theater venues trying to survive the pandemic. She highlighted her bipartisan legislation called the Save Our Stages Act. It created the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant Program, which has allocated funds to more than 220 Minnesota venues to pay employees and preserve the live entertainment sector.
So just overall, how do I feel? I feel great about this. I feel excited to go back to see music and theater again.
Senators Klobuchar and Republican John Cornyn of Texas co-authored that legislation.
After a sudden drop nearly 18 months ago, airline boardings in the state are now reaching levels equal to what they were before the pandemic. The most recent boarding numbers show that more than 92,000 passengers flew in the month of July. Now, that's the largest number of monthly flyers North Dakota has had since the pandemic. The executive director of the Aeronautics Commission says the latest passenger numbers have exceeded their expectations, and he's hoping the demand for travel continues to trend upward.
FM Pride Week is happening now, and it's a time that the Fargo Police Department's Community Trust Officer and LGBTQ liaison says she's excited about. That liaison position was added as the department noticed a disconnect with some community members. Officers say they want to bridge the gap and build relationships so everyone feels comfortable coming to police officers for help.
The police department wants to show the support, right? So we want to show the community that, you know, hey, we support you guys, and obviously we offer that avenue of safety as well.
The Fargo Police Department will have officers at Pride events all weekend engaging with the public and handing out stickers. They encourage people to come say hi. There's a lot happening for FM Pride weekend. Tonight they're celebrating Youth Pride at the Avalon Events Center. Tomorrow is Pride in the Park starting at 11 a.m. at Island Park, and there's a block party at Fargo Brewing Company. Sunday's Pride Parade starts at 2 p.m.
Hey, speaking of that parade, we'd like to remind you about road closures on Sunday. Broadway will be closed between NP Avenue and 3rd Avenue North. NP will be closed between Broadway and 4th Street North. Those closures will be in effect from about 1 to 4. Later on Valley News Live at 6, which COVID-19 vaccine may offer protection against the variants for several months?
Crisp, cold temperatures this morning for some, and the clear skies providing a clear view of those stars and the Perseid meteor shower last night. Did you see any? Your forecast for the weekend will return the sizzle. We'll have details on just how much sizzle right after this.